Hi, my name is Bryce Klinger, and this is my presentation for my MDS 400 capstone project. And it's about repurposing hard to recycle materials and finding new uses for retired and ski and snowboard equipment. Um, so the recycling process, it's made up of numerous steps to break down and reuse materials. Everything must be separated and broken down to the bare minimum parts. Um, so like cardboard can only go with cardboard, paper can only be with paper, plastic need to be separated out to their various thicknesses and consistencies. Um, so like I just grabbed a couple things out of my refrigerator, but you can see if you look at the bottom of any plastic, there is a recycling icon with a number on it, and so those numbers will be grouped together and only recycled with the same number of item. There are some items that are labeled as hard to recycle, as they can be repurposed or reused, but they require maintenance and repair, or at the very least, they can be recycled, but they need to be separated out and taken apart down to their individual parts in order to be recycled. Ski and snowboards are another example of this. They fall under the description of hard to recycle materials, and that's because they're made up of various parts: wood, fiberglass, plastics, metals. So if you're going to recycle any of these, all these parts need to be removed and separated, or the entire piece of equipment needs to be repurposed. And I actually got going to use just as one of my skis as a visual aid. So you can see it's made up of a lot of parts. There's metal in here, like along the edges. The base is fiberglass and wood materials, depending on what kind of ski. There might be different amounts of wood or fiberglass. You have your bindings. These are all metal and plastic. And so, if you can't just find a reuse, or they can't be repurposed for the general use, which is what they're initially made for. So if you can't find another person that uses these skis, you need to take the whole thing apart if you want to try and recycle it. Usually the best option is to take the bindings off if they're in good quality and try and just mount those to another set of skis. If you can't do that, you need to take apart all the screws, you need to take apart all the plastics, recycle the plastics themselves, and then the screws will be put in with mixed metal, and then the fiberglass and wood usually ends up finding use as an art project or something like that. So repurposing equipment. So skis and snowboards, they fall under the category of hard to recycle. I already went over that. But repurposing equipment, a lot of skis and snowboards, they can still be used for their original purpose. A lot of people just get a new pair every year. So what do they do with their old pair? Besides sitting out, taking up space in their garage, they usually get donated. And so being able to find use for them for their original purpose is the easiest form of recycling. They don't have to be taken apart, and they don't have to take up space in landfills where they're just going to sit for thousands of years, because these are not going to decompose. Some equipment, that gets donated, it's too damaged to be reused for the original purpose. I saw some skis that were literally broken in half, and they were in two parts. So that you can't reuse that to ski, obviously. So you need to find a new use for that, and a lot of that comes in the form of like an art project or some other creative way to use the equipment. So for my project, when I was spending my time with the recycling center, they asked that I find a use for the donated ski and snowboard equipment, so that the recycling center would actually have a feasible method for proactively using the equipment so it didn't just pile up at the recycling center or in a landfill. So during my time volunteering, I came up with a couple of ideas that would help the recycling center to use in the future. Being in the Salt Lake area and even on the Park City side, on the other side of the Wasatch Mountains, there's quite a few local ski shops, and a lot of these offer used equipment as well. And a lot of that used equipment is sold via consignment. So I contacted a few local consignment stores to resell donated equipment that is still in good condition, that people would actually be interested in purchasing. This was my favorite idea because when I first moved to Salt Lake, I actually used a consignment store to sell my old snowboard and bought a pair of skis as well. So this is a good way for the recycling center not just to get rid of their equipment that's been piling up, but also to make some extra money for the recycling center themselves. The other option was to get in contact with local artists who build various things such as furniture or fences or picnic benches with old discarded equipment that is just too damaged to continue to be used for the original purpose. So option one, kind of went over it. I reached out to a few local ski shops who sell used ski equipment and offer the original owner of the equipment consignment once the year is sold. So I left the contact information and consignment policies with the recycling center once I had gotten a few options of different stores that they could take their equipment to. So then the second option proved to be a little bit more difficult because I can't just go to a store to find an artist. But there are a handful of local artists in the area that have been coming to the recycling center to pick up equipment that is in good enough condition to be reused as a bench or a fence or some other kind of art project. So with people, I did get in contact with them, which come up with some pretty creative ideas. But while I was meeting with them, I gave them the contact information of the recycling center so that if they ever did need it, they would always have a resource to acquire more materials for their projects. And I also asked that they, leave a business card of theirs or anything so that the recycling center could at least reach out and say, hey, we have extra skis that are starting to pile up, and if you need any more materials for your projects, you have a place to pick it up. And so upon when I was finished, I didn't find any magical way to get rid of all of the donated skis or snowboards that get donated, but I did at least provide the employees and future volunteers some additional options and resources to finding new uses for the equipment. And in this way, it also kind of found a extra way for the recycling center to gain some additional funding in the form of consignment sales for the used ski and snowboards. So new volunteers or employees, they can take the ski equipment to a local consignment shop and put it up for sale, and then once that eventually does sell, the consignment check can either be picked up at the store itself by an employee or volunteer, or the shop can mail the check to the recycling center. It was a pretty interesting experience volunteering for the recycling center. I did learn quite a bit on just how difficult recycling is. It's not such an easy thing that mixed recycling isn't just an easy solution. It does have to go to the recycling center. It does have to get sorted out, and then there is a lot more that actually goes into the whole process. So it definitely provided some additional insight that I didn't expect. That's my project, and thanks for watching.